Welcome to Random Select. Please enjoy.
Hey, what's going on? This is Mario. I would like to welcome you into another episode of Random Select, and today I'm joined by our regular panelists. I have Will, I have Valencia, I have Carlotta, and today we're going to try to answer the question, is blood really thicker than water? And in order to find out how family has demised up until this point, we're going to try to give you a chronological timeline as to, for our generation, where we think it began. And we would like to start in the 80s, where, the drug epidemic, alcoholism, particularly crack, tore up so many families during the 80s, whether it been a lot of kids were taken from their moms, a lot of kids didn't know their fathers because so many people were on drugs, and so many people were alienated from their families due to this epidemic that hit hard back in the 80s. And I want to start it off with Carlotta. How did you see the 80s affecting family back when you were coming up?
Well, in the 80s, I grew up in New York, and I lived in the suburb and then moved to Bedford-Stuyvesant, and that's when I really saw reality where, they're making the movie Walking Dead right now, but back then it was addicts walking alive. The Bed-Stuy was at night just addicts everywhere, prostitution, selling you stuff. I mean, back then I was young, and yes, we did buy stuff from them when you see them at night, but they were so numerous, it became normal. And then you had the regular drunks that were out in the street and in the the apartment building, in the lobby. So they were everywhere.
Okay, and Valencia, which is a good stark contrast. She was up north experiencing the mid to late 80s. You were in the south experiencing the mid to late 80s. What was your experience like in the 80s, and saw how, crack and drug abuse just tore up families?
Man, goodness, it was horrible. I grew up in Atlanta, and Bankhead, Bowen Homes, Hollywood Courts, Allen Temple. I mean, it was crazy. You would literally see relatives doing it, going up to the dope dealers. The dope dealers would come in, with the big Cadillacs, the tricked out 5.0s, and, kids looked up to them, and I was young at that time. I didn't know what was going on. Only thing I would do was just see these guys coming through the chains and the cell phones and the cars and things of that nature. But it took for me to get, a little bit older, late 80s, early 90s, to fully understand that, golly, this is why we were separated. This is what happened to this person. This was happening to that person. Crack was just horrible. I mean, it was even dope dealers in the school, in my high school, literally 15, 16 years old, selling drugs. So it was a really horrible, horrible thing. I mean, they would just be laid out. Women would not be ashamed to walk up to my dad and, try to sell themselves. It was horrible.
Okay, and this discussion is unique because we have different perspectives from it. Carlotta's experienced it in the north. Me and you both, and Will, kind of experienced it in the south, but Will experienced it from a suburbia standpoint. What was it like in suburbia, in the mid 80s, Will?
It wasn't a whole lot of difference. I mean, the biggest thing as far as how the drugs came down, I mean, of course, it wasn't the same as being in the city, but I mean, I had relatives, a lot of relatives, I mean, 'cause I'm from Atlanta, so a lot of my relatives all grew up in the city. So we had times where, you know, my family house was the house we all gathered at, for holidays, Easter, Christmas, barbecues, whatever. And after a certain point in the 80s, parents basically tell us, in the house, like during Christmas, okay, once you play with your stuff in the morning, you need to go put your stuff up in your room, take it upstairs, because certain relatives had fallen into the lifestyle. Where the people know that a lot of Bal both talked about. Those take stuff and just randomly sell something to you at night. So, I mean, the crack and cocaine and drugs didn't just stay in the city. Once it got a hold there, that might have been where the heartbeat was, but it spread everywhere. and it affected family gatherings, in countless different ways.
Okay, let me ask you this, Valencia. Coming up, and like I said, this is for us and our generation, and I'll add something to it after this. But can you remember any stories or any personal stories where you saw, because of drug abuse, that either family had to relocate or you saw children removed from the home, and how was fathers being around?
It was an epidemic. I mean, it was so bad to the point where one particular person I know that was adopted had a relative who they stayed with and was on drugs so bad that this person would get drugs on credit. The bills will never get paid. These people live without lights. These people live without water. They had a place to stay, but as soon as the first came around, because this person had got so much drugs on credit, the food stamps were gone. The check was gone. The kids really didn't even have anything to eat. Luckily, they barely had a place to lay their heads. But it was just one of those sad instances where you didn't realize that this drug was so serious that it would make you neglect your home. It would make you neglect your children. And it was just sad because everybody in the neighborhood knew this person's, mom was on drugs. And it was not a good look. And to the point where it was almost like this individual was a functioning drug addict, because no matter how many times DFACS was called in, they could never find it. It was no clue of any type of drug abuse, any type of neglect. I mean, by the time DFACS would come out, the lights would be back on, the water would be back on, the heat or the air would be back on, the refrigerator would be full of food. So it was one of those hit and miss cases that it was unfortunate that these children had to go through that.
Okay. See, my personal experience with this is, and me and you talk, off air about this, that, for the most part, I grew up on the east side at Atlanta, Thomasville, Four Seasons, Grant Park Village, McDonough Heights, those areas right there. And I'm telling you, drug abuse was to the point where it had whole communities, apartment areas, just zombied out. You know what I mean?
And you're right. You're absolutely, I didn't want to go into detail about that, but you're absolutely correct. And now since you brought that up, Dixie Hills, my middle school and high school, Dixie Hills, Allen Temple, Fairfield, all of that. Man, it was just horrible because you knew everybody, mom or dad, was doing it. You know what I'm saying? And it was just so embarrassing to the point where on the first, your mama get a check. And then the little dope boy who daddy was selling dope to, this person or that person, mom, they knew that your mom or dad check was going to be given to them on the freaking first. I mean, damn, it was horrible. I mean, and I'm sorry, but it's one of those things where it hit home because I had relatives that was affected by that, and it's heartbreaking. Luckily, I can honestly say one person, I'm so proud of him. And if he's listening to this, he knows exactly who he is. But he was affected by it. He went to work every single day. He took care of his family, but it almost took him over. He was a functioning crack addict. A functioning crack addict. But I don't know what red light went off in it, what happened. I don't know if he had a near-death experience, but he's one of those I can say I'm honestly proud of because he made it. He's doing great things with his family, but a lot of people unfortunately did not make it. They're either still wrapped up in that lifestyle or they're dead.
And getting back to the family portion of this, we're trying to see, how it affected families going down the line. So many young black boys got locked up for selling drugs back then. Back then before they started, doing it like it is for each rock or something like that. That's how many years you got. You got caught with 50 rocks, you got 50 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and just imagine how many girls got pregnant by, like you say, dope boys, and that's a father going out the household right there.
Mm-hmm.
You got, people on crack, that's a parent gone. And then you got family members trying to raise these kids. So the broken home structure just started to multiply time after time after time. And then, like you said, think about all the kids who were embarrassed, and had to live with that fact that your parents or whatnot was on crack. So that caused embarrassment, started making kids act out. And where I come from, dope dealers were like gods. Everybody looked up to them because they wanted the money, the cars, the girls, the chains back then. So Carlotta, let me ask you this: going forward, now we understand that in the '80s, crack, and we didn't even touch the whole HIV thing because a lot of homes got broken because a lot of people didn't make it out the '80s from dirty needles and just unprotected sex. So, from your point of view, you seen alcoholism be just as powerful as drugs. You know, how do you feel about what I'm saying going forward to the '90s? What type of kids did the '80s produce?
Well, the kids from the 80s that were being neglected eventually grow up. And so
Hmm.
you have these kids that between the neglect, the ones ended up in the system, all the dysfunction that followed from all of that, these kids most likely end up getting pregnant early. And so you have a new generation that is being raised by kids. And you also have to remember that it's not just crack, it's alcoholism. Even if you had a household that was good where drugs didn't hit, a lot of houses, the parents were alcoholics, even if they were only weekend alcoholics. So you still had damage being done everywhere. So now you have teenagers having teenagers. And of course, along with girls having babies at a young age, most likely there's no daddies. So this is where you create the second generation and the second group with a dysfunctional upbringing, because who's raising them?
Okay. Valencia, you want to speak on that? Like the type of kids that came out the '80s. Once they grow up and they start having babies, what was the '90s like for you, far as a family structure go?
My God. It wasn't great. I will say that, I am an 80s baby, so to speak. I
Hmm.
actually had my first child when I was 17. So I was a child literally raising a child. Now, with that being said and done, it was a lot of things that was dysfunctional in my house home. And I really did not have any people to look up to because I, I had people that was not related to me that took me under their wing than my own relatives or family members. It's sad to say that the help that I received to get to where I'm at now, it took from people seeing me just, going to work, going to school, doing what I need to do with my kids and saying, you know what, I'm going to help you out to get to where you need to be. And it was one of those things where what happened to me as a child, I worked so hard to make sure that my children don't have to be subjected to that, because there's no real grandmothers anymore. It was a point in time where if you needed help, you can go to your mom. Your mom would help you out. If mom wasn't there, grandma was there. But unfortunately, with the epidemic with drugs and everything, I think that kind of shut out the grandmothers, so to speak. I think they had just got sick and tired. They didn't want to deal with it. So now we just have this generation where it's a selfishness. It's all about me.
Okay, we definitely gonna talk about the grandmothers in a little bit because I definitely want to ask about that. Now, Will, let me bounce this to you. I know when I was in high school in the '90s, and let's not try to separate ourselves. We are that children from the '80s who had kids in the '90s. We are that generation, and that's how come I know in high school. Will, let me ask you this: did you see a lot of girls unusually pregnant in high school at an early age? Because I know in my high school I did. I mean, girls were pregnant all over the place.
See, I think the culture, at least for my high school, might have been a little different. I said, where I grew up, we grew in Georgia, they had, the optional, busing program, the M, majority minority. So my parents took the opportunity to send me to a school that was no majority, no Caucasian. So it was a mix, but, it was a mix of black, Hispanic, Asian, but it was mostly white. So I saw from that perspective the sexual activity. I think just in my own personal opinion, just because of the fact that there's more resources and more probably education, and for all I know, maybe even possibly could be more abortion, whatever you want to say is the cause of it. You didn't see a lot of pregnancy. There was a couple, but you saw a lot of activity. I mean, just as a activity that we see that we see now, where we see the whole thing with the multicolored bracelets, meaning this ad, that ad, or the other ad. Just the beginning of that, just being promiscuous. I saw a lot of that. To where there was just a lot of activity, but it never ended up being resulting in a pregnancy. But like I said, that was just a different side of, I guess, the same coin from what I was seeing in high school.
Okay, what about you, Kalata? When you were in school, did you see a lot of young pregnancies or no?
Well, in junior high, they would leave. It was more of a shame thing where you wouldn't see anybody. You would see a small stomach in the beginning, and then that person just wouldn't come back, and everybody would be like, where'd they go? Oh, she's pregnant. In high school, I would see them try to stick it in. You would see them with the stomach for a while, but most people did not stay until the end, either shame or just couldn't keep doing it. It's too much work trying to carry that weight and dealing with the fact that you're young and dealing with the fact that financial issues and most likely no partner sticking by you and home problems. A lot of people most likely they were stopping. They weren't finishing up school.
Okay. All right. Since this show is asking, is blood really thick in the water, and we're talking about family, Will, I know you pretty much grew up with your mother and your father. Do you think that if you didn't have your father in your household, your life, would it have made a difference in your life, or to you, it's something you would adapt to and just went on with your life as normal?
I mean, of course it'll make a difference. I mean, I can't say whether it would have made positive or negative, but it makes a difference. I mean, it's just the natural state of any child is to see your mother and father in the home, because your mother and father do two separate things for you. Especially as a boy, your father is your window into what manhood is supposed to be. So if you're growing up without a father, you have to find that window into manhood someplace else, and that's where a lot of trouble comes from now, because people saw that window to manhood, through, as you all say, maybe the neighborhood drug dealer that had money to give people, or have a lifestyle. Saw it on TV, saw a football player, baseball player, whatever, saw a musician. I mean, so you have to have that window into manhood as a boy. So I know that I'm glad he was there, and I can't say I would have been, on the corner because I didn't have him there. But I said it's just not a good idea to just have a boy grow up without a father, if at all possible.
How do you feel, Kalata? You had two parents in the home for a while. Could you look at some of your friends who didn't have parents and see a difference in behavior between kids who had two parents and kids who didn't? Could you see it, or it just wasn't mentally, you weren't mentally at a point where you could notice that?
I didn't notice it because it was usually extended families and there were grandparents around and other people to support them, uncles, whatever. So I really didn't notice it, but I want to make a point that I grew up with my father there until I was like 19. And even though you may have two parents, that doesn't mean that it's a perfect household, because my father was a businessman and it was all business, and when it wasn't business, it was play. So yes, I'm grateful that I had a dad there, but emotionally, you really didn't have somebody there if they're a workaholic.
I'm glad you made that point. We're gonna get back to that question right there as well too. All right, Valencia. What was your situation? Did you have your mom and dad growing up?
Nope, I did not. I lived with a relative, and it wasn't great. You know, my mom had some things that happened to her when she was younger, which caused her to not mentally be stable. Let me just, for lack of better words, my dad was just all over the place, drug addict, abused alcohol. So my siblings and I lived with a relative, and unfortunately, it was not the best situation where we were. So at a really young age, I basically figured out in my head I need to work to make sure that I have the things that I need. And eventually, kind of took some bad turns, but I recovered, I bounced back. Nothing that was too detrimental or anything, but no, didn't have my parents.
Okay. And for me, really quick, um, I didn't meet my father until literally I was 32, 33. And for a long time, as a boy growing up, since all the boys and all my friends around us didn't have fathers, nobody stressed it. Nobody even said, hey, nobody even made fun of each other because nobody had fathers, so it wasn't a thing. But then when you grow up and you say you watch your mama struggle and stuff like that, you always think, my dad could have been here to do something. So it does affect you because, like I said, you learn a lot of things. Like we'll say, your father's supposed to kind of guide you down that path of being a man. And I've told quite a few people off air that you learn a lot of stuff from people in the hood, little older little guys, and they teach you a lot of nonsense. And it take you years to filter through all that stuff and realize you've been taught crap. So it does have adverse effects on people not having somebody in the home. But also I do realize this, like Carlotta said, just because they're there sometimes doesn't make your household going to be better, make your household be that wonderful peachy type place either. So, kudos to Will for having, a mom and a pop that was there and made him feel like it was a good place to be. So, with that being said, we'll jump right into what Valencia was getting at. Do you think the family unit is demised because we don't have traditional grandparents anymore?
Absolutely, I do. I do, because I think about my dad's mom and my grandmother on my dad's side. Old school. She country lady from Mississippi. She's that traditional. You're gonna do this, and she's gonna teach you. She's going to give you the essential tools. And if you had fallen by the wayside, yeah, she was there to pick you up. Versus I look at my grandmother on my mom's side. Nothing traditional at all. Period. It's one of those things where it's really sad. I have 5 kids. My grandmother has never kept my kids, not one time. My oldest child is 17. My youngest is 11. They can't tell you what she like, what she don't like. She can't tell you when their birthdays are, what their favorite book is. She's never even read to them. So as far as traditional, we no longer have Big Mama. If anything, I have my friends' moms, who would step in. I got it, baby. Go ahead, go to work. Go ahead, go to school. Do what you need to do. Now, they were traditional.
Okay. What about you, Carlotta? Do you feel that, old school, just traditional grandparents are kind of what helped keep families together, and that's why part of it is the way it is now?
Yeah, that old school grandma is fading away. It's not too much of them because I guess this new generation of grandparents are still trying to stay young instead of embracing the fact of where their age is at the moment. And so, I've seen grandparents that tell the grandkids, don't call me grandma. They wanted them to be called by the first name, or they're still running around dressing like they in their 50s or 40s, because some of them are very young, or you just have the ones that still are really grandparents, but the bond is not there anymore.
Okay, so with that, I'm gonna jump right into asking you this question, Will, straight and direct. Is the family bond as strong as it used to be?
I think it depends. I mean, I guess to give an answer, I'll say yes, just because of the fact the amount of how much other stuff happens to family, and I mean, and I've had my share of situations, and so I think probably everybody on this phone call had. We all had that family member who we know, was gonna call or ask for something to do something, and you know in your heart of hearts, you should not even answer the phone. You just shouldn't, because you know nothing is not going to work out positively. But because that's your blood, you're gonna answer that phone. And you're gonna try to do your best for them, even though you know you probably shouldn't. I mean, and I'm going to say it still is strong. It's just the fact that now the effects of it are just to since all the other parts of the conversation you had about drugs, alcohol, different values. Like Carlotta said, I'm glad she said I was going to say it. The whole grandmother want to be called Pam instead of grandmama or grandma. I said all that stuff has just affected everything to where now that the strength of the family is just it's there, but it's been perverted because now it doesn't show in everybody having Sunday dinner at Big Mama's house. It shows when you got to go down to the jail and bail out somebody, or you got to get somebody's stuff from off the street because they're getting kicked out. It's just showing it different ways now, and they're not positive ways. So you don't look at it the same way.
All right, well, then that's a very good transition into the question that Carlotta had brought up that I said we was going to get back to, and I'm going to ask: do you think just because someone is a family member, they deserve an automatic respect spot in your life? You know what? When I say that, I mean how people say that's your brother, that's your cousin. You shouldn't do him like that, or they deserve more. Or you should get them that money just because they are your family member. And I'm gonna start with you, Valencia. Do you think that they deserve an automatic spot of respect in your life?
No, sir. No, no. It, and I don't want to sound mean when I say this. Just because you're related to me does not entitle I should be there to help you. Now, depending on the circumstance or the situation, if it's a one-time event, then that's perfectly fine. But if I know that, you're always in and out of jail, that you take your money, you get paid, instead of you taking care of your bills, you want to go to the club, do this, that, and the third, but then when you fall short, you need that helping hand. No, I'm not going to do that. I am one of those type of people. If you respect me, I respect you. And again, I will continuously say this. I have people that are not related to me that get more respect from me because they've never, it's never been a hidden agenda. You've always been clear with me, and even in my roughest time, the roughest patch of my life, those individuals have been there for me. So if Pam, who's not related to me, calls me and say, "Hey, I'm short $100. Can you help me out?" But then if my sister calls me and say, "Hey, I'm short $100. Can you help me?" I'm gonna give it to my girl Pam because
Okay.
because my sister does not get that respect from me.
Okay, and that's exactly the answer I was looking for, a truthful answer. All right, Carlotta, what about you? Just because somebody's family, does that mean they deserve an automatic spot of respect in your life?
No, it depends on who shows you that they deserve that respect. And I've had personal experience where I would try to stick out with the fact that this is respect, so just do what you're supposed to do because it's respect. But it could eat at you. It could drain you emotionally. So you have to get to a point where you say, okay, I have to see this person as another human being. Do they really care about me? Are they due my respect? So I say no. It's all about blood. It's not about blood. It's about how people really treat you.
Okay, Will, I'm going to throw it over to you. Does someone deserve automatic respect just because they're family?
You're gonna get a head start because you're family, but that goes back to something I've said before that the reason God makes your family is because some of them people you might not deal with on a regular basis otherwise. Because there are people like Val and Clark both said that that's your family, but you can't deal with them on that level. And I say it gives you a head start. Like I said, if not knowing, one side from another from a perfect stranger, yes, I'm going to lean towards my family. Now, once I start seeing a track record, you can lose respect quick, really quick. So no, you don't get it and just keep it forever because we're related. It gives you a head start. But if you've proven that you're just going to take me for granted, I said I can't give you that leeway anymore. That's not healthy.
Okay. So let me switch it up a little bit. Let me go in a different direction and let me ask. If you were in a dire situation, Carlotta, and you had one emergency call, I mean a true flat out emergency, who would you call? Friend or family?
Friend.
All right, Valencia, you, friend or family?
Friend.
All right, Will, throwing it over to you. Dire emergency. You get one phone call and you have to make it count. Friend or family?
Now this sounds a cop out, but that's really a tie for me because I have a sister here that I know I can call for anything without question. So she's family. But I also have the best man in my wedding who's here, who I can give that same phone call to and get the same answer. So for me, it's both.
Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to get a little gauge to kind of see and go back to this question right here. We're leading right into it. Will family screw you quicker than other people because they're your family?
Oh, hold on. I want to answer this first. I said, I don't think they'll screw you on purpose all the time anyway. I think they screw you because they think it's okay because that's my family. So I better get back to them. And it's that whole, again, taking something for granted thing. I say, your brother comes to you and say, hey, let me get $100. All right, here you go. And then they say, you get paid. It's like, I should give my brother back his $100, but that's my brother. He'll understand. Let me go and get these new J's because they just came out. So you see your brother your new J's, you was like, hey, what's going on? Oh, I get it back to you. No. Well, in the case that was you borrowed $100 from the title loan place, you give them $100 back before they charge you $200. So I just think it's just one of them things where you just take your family for granted for all the wrong reasons.
All right, Carlotta, do you feel that your family will screw you quicker than other people?
Yes, they will. I remember one time when I was caught up in the whole "this is family, you're supposed to," and my cousin came and gave me a story. Oh, I need a car. I have a job. I need a car. Lend the money. And she came back with a Lexus, and I was like, "How you gonna afford a Lexus with minimum wage?" And needless to say, 3 months later, she lost the car. But she wouldn't pay the money back, and this was $1,000. Now, she would come by on holidays, and the kids had the new PSP, whatever that game was. They were like $2.99, I think, at the time. Each one of her kids had a brand new one. My kids are sitting there looking at it like, oh my God, look at this game. I wish we had that. And I'm looking at her like, how you buy this and you owe me $1,000? And she came back again and tried to borrow again, knowing that she still owed me. So you can't rely. What it comes down to is people are gonna assume because you're family and you look like you don't need it, they don't need to pay it back.
Wow. That'll be hard to swallow if that was me, because like you said, PSPs, $300, but that's $600 sitting around, running around the living room, being dropped on the floor and about to be broke, so. What about you, Valencia? Will family screw you quicker than others?
Absolutely, yes. I do agree. I mean, I don't have any stories because me and my family, we are not great. But my sister, she was on drugs and she still is, and it was one of those things where she needed something for her son. Her son was up under a lot of medical things, and I did it for her because she asked me to. And I'm thinking she's trying to change and really get herself together, but unbeknownst to me, she went used it for drugs. So yeah, they'll screw you real quick.
Okay, so now that we feel it's unanimous that we feel that family will screw you quicker than others. Let me jump right into and asking this question. Since we feel that the extended family and a lot of people that's not in your immediate household probably will screw you, is the only family that matters now more than anything is immediate family? Will?
I don't want to say matters more, but you got to focus on it. I mean, I grew up and getting credit to my parents. I didn't know what the term half sister or stepsister meant growing up because with my parents, no, my parents both were in previous marriages before they married each other. So they both had two daughters each from those previous marriages. So when I came of age, I had four sisters. I didn't know until I was probably like somewhere around 10, 11, 12, whatever, that I didn't have a full-blooded sibling of my own. All of my sisters were, from other marriages, and it was never addressed when my sisters were around my other parents. No, they were called by their first names, but they were always treated in the house. Everyone was treated equally. So I guess I'll say all that to say, you start in your house, but that should extend out, and it should extend outward. So hopefully, in a perfect world, everyone's house would be like that, and then the extended family would function because everyone is functioning on that same level. But unfortunately, as we found out during this call, during the show, that there's nothing. Family doesn't function like that everywhere now, so there's disconnects.
Okay, and what about you, Carlotta? Is immediate family all that really matters in today's world?
From my personal view, yes. I want to make a point that for people that's listening, there's going to be people that say, why are they dogging everybody, But we're about our experiences. I'm sure there's some people that had good family upbringing and they still having the cookouts, and the family reunions, and they all have a bond. But I think a lot of the damage, as you mentioned earlier, was created from back in the 80s and 90s and with different things. And now we're at the point where everything's falling apart. Even if you have family members that are okay, there's no bond there anymore. You're not, you have people in your family, but you're not really reaching out to them. So for me personally, yes, immediate is my priority.
Valencia?
My immediate family, and when I say immediate family, my children, they are my number one priority. However, I consider the people that are not related to me that have helped me along the way also my immediate family. So if they need something or if it's something I can do, I'm there for them. I'm going to make sure that they're going to be okay regardless of what. Because to me, that's my family. That's just like if something happened to you, I'm there. No questions, hands down, and we're not even related. So I consider you my immediate family.
Okay. All right, so let me play a quick game right now. We're gonna throw holidays out of the mix because families still get together sort of at holiday, but not as much. And I got three. I looked it up, and number three reasons that families get together outside of Christmas and Thanksgiving. I'm gonna give each one of y'all to just give me one, and once one pick one, the other one can't pick that one that previous one picked. So I'm gonna start with you, Will. Name one of the top three reasons families get together now. Give me one.
I'm going to go ahead and take the easy answers to make somebody else think. The funeral.
Funeral, number one answer. Carlotta, your turn.
Weddings.
Weddings. Weddings is number two. All right, Valencia, come on, number.
Why families get together?
Birth of three top reasons. I looked it up online. The number three reasons that family get together, and they've got them in the 1 and 2 order. You got to give me number three.
Oh, God. Can I give you two?
I mean, give me two, and one of them might be right.
Okay, the birth of a child?
No.
Graduation?
No.
Okay, well, I don't know, because, those would have been my two.
Anyone, and one of y'all want to, and the other two, Will or Carlotta, want to guess what the third top reason that families get together now?
Some kind of disaster?
She said disaster.
I'm about to say, this about to be the cynical side of me talking, but court date?
No, I'll just give y'all the answer. The answer is family reunions.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, we forgot about that.
Yeah, those are the top three answers that people, are only getting together in a major big event, like Will said, when somebody die, when somebody get married, and family reunions. Y'all want to know what's the most common bond in all of those?
What?
What?
Food.
Yeah.
Food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So those are the top reasons that they say families get together. So
They should stick free in front of it. Free food.
Yeah, free food. You're right, Carlotta.
well,
And you know the
yeah,
sad thing. You know the sad thing about that is we touched on earlier the fact that we used to have all that. Go back to the home. There's no Big Mamas. Big Mama would cook every week, and everybody would come through every week to sit down and eat. I mean, and like again, free food, of course, it is free, but like I said, and it's still a bond up. So that brought everything together. Everybody had like a Sunday dinner, even let's say you have a cookout or something. Now nobody's going to do that because now if you ask people, hey, I'm gonna throw a barbecue, just bring something, to contribute, and 3 people bring stuff, and 4 to 5 other people show up. At some point, you stop wanting to do that because you want to give to your family, but you want your family to feel, that respect to giving to the family as well, not just showing up to get free stuff.
and everybody got family, like you just said, that are just flat out takers. You already know that John is never ever gonna bring anything. That hasn't ever missed a barbecue, but at the same time has never ever brought anything. And that's how family do you. But be the one at the barbecue trying to dish out stuff and hoard stuff and take stuff home, but don't ever bring anything. So,
and then that's my pet peeve. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Brent.
I credit my grandmother in Mississippi. She instilled those values in me to be kind of old school, because my kids will tell you, when I would cook for Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, the whole deck, everything will be laid out. Not one time would I ask people to bring anything. I just basically wanted my kids to know who their relatives were. And it was a point in time I kind of took on that role as trying to plan things and just trying to get my family together. But after a while, it became daunting and just tiring and frustrated, because I felt like I was the only one trying to reach out to them, and they didn't want to do it.
Okay. Now, in an earlier podcast we did, I heard Colada say that, like the Hispanics and other people, races, Asians and stuff will stick together until each other get on our feet. Once upon a time, and I would imagine it was late 70s, early 80s, when we would all stick together to try to help each other. Now, do you think that, you could let somebody stay with you family-wise until they get back up on their feet, or does it seem like family tend to run that into the ground until all of a sudden they asking you to co-sign for stuff, which means they'll never play in the league?
Yeah, you can't do that nowadays, because, as I said, you have a taker mentality of the new kind of family, and they feel if you look like it's no big deal to you, why not stay here? Why not keep watching cable and sitting down and don't do nothing while you go work? And if I wasn't here, you'd still do it. They rationalize their reasons in their own heads, and this is what people are doing. You have to make a deal with people before you take them in to say, okay, tell me how long you're gonna stay and what your plan is, and then even that they take as an insult if you bring that up first.
What about you, Will? Do you feel that you can help family get back on their feet without them trying to run it into the ground or use you up?
All I'm going to say is, to what Carlotta said, ditto. I believe that I will let you stay, but before you bring one bag in, we got to discuss what your exit plan is. And it can be a 3 or 4 month exit plan, but it needs to be an exit plan. It just can't be, hey, I need to crash for a while, and there's no sort of details around it. I said, because I am fine, but it's because if you don't have an exit plan set up, I said, you run into a situation where, somebody get comfortable. I said, then like Carl said, they're going to feel insulted when you do start asking questions. Hey, I see you you just got your job and everything's, situated. How long you think it'll be before you, on your feet to get your own place? Then it's like, then there was this whole insult of, man, I didn't know it was like that. I thought I could stay. I thought we were family. Like, yeah, we are family, but I said, I had a personal space here before you got here. You had a personal space before you got here. I assume you like your personal space as much as I like mine. I know I like my personal space. So we need to work out what's going to happen, at a certain point. Say, set up the time frame, I'm fine with it. You need 5 months, you can take 5 months. At the end of 5 months, I need to be helping you load a U-Haul so we can get you moved in and get you settled.
What about you, Valencia? Could you take in, like, let's say your sister and her 3 kids, and right now she don't have no money. She, maybe ain't getting no food stamps, and all the food and all the everything is coming on you until she get on her feet.
Okay, before I state this answer, this is my personal view, so please do not get upset. I have too many children. I have 5 people. I can't do it. I cannot bring a 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th person because it's a lot on me just making sure these 5 people have what they need, let alone let somebody. I can't even let an adult come stay with me. I just can't. Even if we can split everything down the middle, excuse me, hell no, not happening.
Carlotta, could you take on 4 more extra mouths to feed like your brother and his kids?
I want to make this point that it's not even about the money, because you can have someone that comes in and they're helping with all the bills and financially it's great, but it's your personal space. It's only so much times you can go in a refrigerator and your food is gone and they didn't ask you for it. You got to go drive to Walmart to go replace something because they ate it. Or you say, okay, the only privacy I have is my bedroom. So you go in there and then they walk and come sit on your bed to talk to you. You can't get away from them. So no, it's not even about the money. It's about your comfort zone.
And as one panelist said once upon a time, his time is more infinitely valuable than his money.
Yes. I say it again today. I mean, just to the points. No, Val and Carlotta both points. The fact that one, he said, I've just been married coming up on a year this weekend. So there are certain requests that I can't answer the same way I did when I was single. Someone crashed. I said, I have a wife to consult with and a son in the house. So I can't just say, hey, come crash on my sofa for a few weeks like I could when I was a single guy, because I have a family. And that's me with 2 people. I can't imagine Val with 5 people and somebody asked, if anybody even asked her, I'm kind of looking at the person asking her with side eye, because she got 6 mouths to feed in her house. Why would you ask her to stay over there? That's on a certain level disrespectful.
You'd be surprised, baby. You'd be surprised. And I'm looking at these people like you and Carlotta said, it's not even the point about the money or the food. But my kids, we just had a meeting today. They was like, well, Mom, when you come in from work, you just be so tired, and we don't have time to talk, this, that, and the third. So now, imagine if my kids are telling you, I want my private space, and like Carlotta said, you come in and you sitting on my bed talking to me, I'm going to look at you out the side of my neck because you invading what little space I already have.
All right, I got you. So going forward, how do y'all think this generation will view family? Or are we trying to build it back, or is it just going down a path that it can't come back from?
I think it can come back.
Well, okay, Carlotta, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it can come back. It depends on household. If you have dysfunction raising dysfunction, well, most likely that's not going to work. But it's up to us to still say, look, we know what the issues were in the past, and we're going to correct it. And you could do your best. And sometimes it may seem like it's not working. But I knew when I was young, certain things I didn't like. But when I hit the 20s, I started doing it just because of repetition. So all you could do is just work on your family right now and just hope that it will change.
Let me ask you a question, Valencia. In your household, do you and your kids sit at the table and eat together? Because I think that could help bring a lot of things back, because families just don't eat together no more. Somebody might cook, somebody fix a plate, everybody go off to their room. Nobody eat together anymore. Do you and your kids eat together?
Not all the time, but I can tell you that they force me, Mom, can you come to the table and eat? Now, they eat together. So I can honestly say that my children, they remind me that these traditions need to be kept up, and you don't realize, you don't realize how much you are impacting them just with sitting at the table with them. that is a huge impact. I can say that the more my children talk to me, the more that they bring stuff to my attention, it makes me a little bit more cognizant about family traditions, about making sure, on Christmas we're here together. Where when for one of the things that we do every single year, we go to the Universal Soul Circus. People may be like, "Ooh, y'all want to go there?" But my kids will tell you that is a family tradition that I have started, and hopefully this will be one of these family traditions that after I'm long dead and gone, that they can possibly keep up with their kids and their grandkids. So I believe that as far as bringing that lifestyle back, it does begin in your home, and you just have to embed that into your children.
Okay. Carlotta, I know you're a big believer in birthdays and stuff. Do you guys have a family tradition that you like to do?
Well, we do all the major holidays. I make sure it's a big deal for them, even if there's not any family coming. But what I've started doing was, because I work so much and I work at night, so they see me sleeping in the daytime. So I feel like I might be neglecting them. So what I've started doing is every year I try to take them all on a cruise, and that's 6, 7 days of we have each other. It's interaction. It's dinner. Even when we go on the cruise, they will want to go to buffet and don't want to go to dining, the formal dining, and I force them to. And they've been mad and looking at me like, why do we have to sit in here on a waiter come service? But eventually they started liking it. So that's one tradition I've started.
All right. Will, I know you and your family, new, so any traditions y'all might be trying to start?
Um, this is just, but to piggyback on what Carl just said, we just had this talk with Elijah yesterday because we tried to someplace to go eat, and we ended up going to this Ethiopian restaurant, and he is hooked on the whole Chinese buffet experience. Like, I want to go to a buffet. It's like, Elijah, you don't always go to a buffet. Sometimes you need to sit down and just enjoy a meal. And like, I guess it's a kid thing, just the whole self-serve instant gratification of just going to a buffet. That just cracked me up because we just had that
Hmm.
discussion last night. But to go back to
Yep.
your question, Mario, what you ask is that, we try to say like, especially for, I guess I'll say for like his birthday, we'll make sure we do something for his birthday, even though it's just make sure he gets like a cake or something here. But we'll try to do something for his birthday. And if like the holidays, I mean, luckily between my wife and myself, we both have families that celebrate holidays, so we'll usually alternate, Thanksgiving and Christmases, and if we have the vacation time, depending on where we're going, we'll try to get in, the summer type holidays and your July 4th or Labor Days and whatnot, and try to make the trip. It's just that, to get all of us together, my family is split between, here in South Carolina, as far as getting all of us together, then my wife's family's in Louisiana, so you're talking any mix of like a 6 to an 11 hour drive, depending on who we're dealing with. So we try to organize it, but we try to get all the major ones in there. I mean, just to have time to see each other.
Okay, great. We're gonna try to wrap this up real quick with everybody's final thought on how they feeling about family. Just a quick little something that you might miss doing this podcast that you wanted to touch on because the conversation was going in a certain direction. You might didn't get a chance to say it. And we'll start with you, Carlotta. Final words here.
Yeah, I want to say that I'm sure a lot of people grew up with maybe nothing wrong, major wrong in their family. We're just talking about some of the effects of the negative stuff. But whichever way, it's still family. And all I could say for me is I just work on what I have right here, because we're going to decide what the next generation will be, what they will do. So all you could do is work on your immediate family right now, and I'm hoping that they will latch on to something, and we possibly could bring it back to the way it used to be. And I know I'm going to be one of those old-fashioned grandmothers.
Okay. All right, Will. Final word.
It's related to family, and it's kind of not, but just from the standpoint of going back to the immediate family, those thoughts Carlotta just shared, people just wait until it's time for you to raise a family before you start having kids. just I know everybody has situations where things happen, and those are their own situations. But when you make a conscious decision to be a single parent, male or female, you are creating a family structure that is less than optimal. Even if you can give them everything that you can provide them, you can provide them with food, shelter, clothing, love, everything. It's less than optimal because ideally you would like to have two parents. And there's plenty of kids that have grown up without two parents. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying there's a void created that has to be accounted for somehow. And hopefully there's family structures that can account for that void. But it's just, in my personal opinion, it's not an idea to go in and just say, oh, you know what, I'm just going to have my kid and I'm going to be, successful on my own with my kid as a conscious, intentional decision. We all know life happens. But that's just my personal take on it.
All right, Valencia, I see you pop back in. Final word?
I know today's show was basically it's blood thicker than water. Something that bothers me is that we have a lot of people, a lot of this, I'm going to say the 80s and 90s generation, a lot of us are young mothers or young fathers of things of that nature. What I would say is look deep into whatever issues or problems that you may have had as a child. Please do not impose that on your children. You can do little things such as starting your own family traditions and things like that just to try to do the best that you can with your child. But at the end of the day, make sure that you are instilling the right morals in them and don't look at it as a negative. Oh, I've been a parent. I didn't have a chance to live my life and this, that, and the third. Your life, basically, you gave your life up the moment that you had that child. So at the end of the day, male or female, you have to step up to the plate and be a parent. Regardless of what, even though we may have relatives that we would not, move heaven or hell for, we still respect them at the end of the day. It's just that there are boundaries that we just can't let people come in and impose on us. So that would be my final thought for this show today.
Okay, and my final word on this is that sometimes we as people get locked into family because they're blood. Sometimes you form bonds with people that don't have your blood in you, but you feel like you've known them your whole life. So don't be a slave to the fact that somebody is your blood, because at the end of the day, you want to be treated right by whomever, family or not. And sometimes we let family take us through places that you would never let anybody else, or you would take yourself through those places. So it's all right to say that, hey, they're my family, I respect them and I know them, but as a person, not as family, but as a person, you don't mess with them like that. And the people you know got your back, those are the people you roll with, family or not. And that's pretty much it. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in to Random Select. As usual, you can catch us on Twitter at Random Select. That's with 2 T's. And you can also catch us at therandomselect@gmail.com, 2 T's. The website is coming, therandomselect.com. If you're looking for us on YouTube, you can type in Random Select Podcast, and we should pop up. And with that being said, people, we are out, and thank you.
You have been listening to Random Select. Thank you. Goodbye.